So I thought I'd start off with the stream with a little bit of an education lesson. Okay. Now this is from the National Health Institute. So in the UK, NHS UK. Okay. Now as far as I'm concerned, okay, and I was not aware of this, that they put attention deficit disorder along with attention hyperactivity disorder. So, because it's the only difference is that the only difference is that one, you move around too much, and the other one, you get distracted very easily. Okay, what I have that I was tested a long time ago for was inattentive ADHD, which means I get distracted very easily. Um, Unlike, because I'm pretty much like the total polar opposite of MTest. Okay. Now, if you guys want a total visual reference of who I'm mostly like related to, as far as a mental condition is concerned, as far as like this is concerned, I'm more likely the enviosity. Now, his condition pretty much far exceeds my own. Uh, but it is there. Uh, the inattentive ADHD is quite simply not the type of ADHD that you want. Um, okay, it is not the type of ADHD that you want. This type of ADHD is the type of ADHD that for some people, for some YouTubers that are like say for instance Hex Juice and Tectone. It's those types of people in the comment section that usually are the ones that say go kill yourself. Or they are the swatters. Okay. And from what I gathered, there was another website that explained it. What happens with people with inattentive ADHD. So, going down here. So, here's the thing, and I was diagnosed a long time ago, but I was never really informed as to what it does or how far it could go. It's been about like 30, like 25, 30 years since I've been like that. So, but now going further into it, the fact that I'm thinking that I have autism is also related to inattentive ADHD. And to some extent, the what hyperactivity and impulsiveness ADHD. But I know for a fact that it's not. I have the inattentive one. Um, so the main signs of inattentive ADHD are having a short attention span and easily distracted. Confirmed. Completely. Um, Making careless mistakes. For example, in schoolwork. which could, um, in some cases, be defined as stubbornness. Okay, you think that you know something, but you actually don't. So that's careless mistakes. Uh, Appearing forgetful or losing things. That is a very, very big one for me. A very big one. Um, I have lost many things without me being aware of where the heck they are. Uh, when I moved to this apartment, uh, I had a social security card with me that was slotted in a purse, a big bag. You can't miss it. So when I moved over here, I was trying to find the purse in question that had the um that had the that had the social security card in it. And I thought to myself, oh my god, I'm a dumbass. I actually probably threw it away. Well, about 3 days ago, 4 days ago, I found the purse with my social security card. And it's been about a year and 3 months since I lost it. So, me not knowing what I did with my purse, or not remembering, is a big sign that I have inattentive uh, ADHD. And I tend to lose things. Just last week, I had learned I lost about $100 worth of tools when I sold my Pacifica last year sometime. So, yeah. And then I was going out of my mind, and my mom had said that a couple of times my dad had to, or he found my tools laying around outside near my car, and I had just left them there for like a couple of days. He saw them and he picked them up and he put them somewhere, I don't know where. So I'm very like forgetful and I lose things. So I mean, that is what it is. Being unable to stick to tasks that are tedious or time consuming. Um, that happens a lot at work. The whole multitasking thing, it looks like I have hyperactivity disorder, but I don't have hyperactivity disorder. Come on, get in here. Uh, what I do is that what happens is that a lot of things bug the hell out of me. I do realize, like, I go into work and I have like this. Well, it took me a while to do this. Like, I have a structure, and I have to be in the structure, and I have to have it in writing. Other because this is something that annoys the hell out of people at work. Like, I have to have it in writing because I know I have inattentive ADHD, and people know that I forget to do things. And I keep telling them that to put it in writing, to put it in writing, to put it in writing, because I know I will forget. Okay, that's the thing that I'm trying to prevent, and people don't seem to realize or want to even pay attention to where I work at, to even acknowledge that I have to have something in writing if they actually make changes. So that's a big thing. Um, so with being unable to stick to tasks that are tedious or time consuming, it is something that I do when I know that there's so many jobs that I have to go through. Uh, to the point where I know that uh, I know that there are people that I work with that are capable of doing the job. But here's the funky thing about this is that I cannot stick to one thing. I just can't. Um, because it bugs the hell out of me. I find this task that I'm doing quite uninteresting. Not boring, but uninteresting. And I do it at a very quick succession. Like 1 minute I could be doing dishes, the next minute I could be doing trash, next minute I'm on the makeup table, next minute I'm loading up the refrigerator for the truck. Next thing I know, I'm on the grill. Next thing I know, I'm on the fries. And it's not because like I'm hyperactive. It's because I lose interest very quickly. Um, Appearing to be unable to listen or to carry out instructions. That's also another big one. I don't listen. I cannot listen. Um, and when it comes to like carrying out instructions, it's not for me. It's not the fact that I don't want to carry out the instructions. It's it's the mere fact that people can't understand why I do what I do because it's very difficult for me to explain why I do what I do. Does that make any sense? So it's so the thing is that um the way I think about things, it's not because I'm being rebellious because this is a rebelliousness. Yeah, I don't listen. That's true. That's because I have a thing to where I cannot trust people's strategy and thought processes because I know for a fact that it is going to be a short term process rather than looking at a long term thing. But it is very difficult for me to communicate my strategy because for some odd reason I cannot formulate the words from my brain to my mouth in a quick succession format. I have to put it in writing. I have to spend like 5 or 6 hours trying to formulate an explanation. And then I can articulate my thought process. But the thing is that the job requires me to think on the spot, so I say nothing and I do my own thing. Constantly changing activity or task. Again, like I said before, people are it gets confused with ADHD, but in fact, the thing is that uh with ADHD, you like constantly like pace around, like you're all over the place. You're like I've seen people with ADHD. They just don't sit still. They can't stop blabbering. Okay, they can't stop talking. That's I think that is the major difference between uh me, somebody like me with inattentive ADHD, and somebody like Psyox. Okay, Psyox is a hyperactivity and impulsiveness ADHD is nothing compared to mine. I stay quiet. I fully focused. I don't blabber. Um, and I don't um articulate or communicate very well, if that makes any sense. Um, so that's the thing. Having difficulty organizing tasks. Yes. If I don't put it in writing and follow through with the tasks that I say that I'm going to end up doing, then this actually is very true. I have to, everything, if I'm going to do a task, I have to do, I have to do a schedule and I have to put it in a spot where it's in my face. Because, because here's the thing, I have to do like put it in a spot to where I can see it and it's in my face because of my chronic forgetfulness. That is exactly why I have to like say it's in my face. And it's true with my organization too. It's like I cannot I cannot get myself to get organized. Okay? If I do that, then I forget where things are. Even on a shelf. No, you have to get like a giant airport anchor. Okay, a giant airport anchor and put everything right there, flat, to where I could see it. If I don't see it, it's not there, and I'm like, oh my god. It's like, oh my god, I lost something. Okay, and this is also another one, and I got it out from another website too. It's not here. I'm trying to look for it, but I at the moment I cannot find it, which is also the thing about my forgetfulness. Even though my forgetfulness is quite huge, there are some things that I deem important that I seem to remember. So the thing that this thing that I have with inattentive ADHD is that I get extremely overwhelmed with even the simplest tasks. Okay, you okay. Say for instance, just reading this, just reading these like ingredients. Okay, it's enough to say to me, "Oh my God, it's the end of the world. I can't understand this. What is this? Oh my God, why?" And then I start freaking out. I go into like fits of rage. And that's also another thing that it's explained down here. Um, which I'll get to in a second. But the thing is that yeah, I do get easily very overwhelmed with even the tiniest little thing. Uh, like I'm a freaking total drama queen. Uh, it to put it in layman's terms, a Karen, a Karen. So, so I do get easily overwhelmed. It's a thing. I and to be quite honest, I never bothered educating myself about inattentive ADHD. And now that I'm looking at this, and I'm just like, what the fuck, bro? What the fuck? I'm just like, now, have I taken any medications? At the time, there was only psychological treatment. There was no medications available. So, this entire time, I have not taken any freaking medications for it. None whatsoever. It was more like, okay, you're just gonna have to shut up and deal with it. This entire time, it was like, shut up and deal with it. Um, which is really kind of sad when I was diagnosed with it. But nowadays, like I hear that there's medications and psychotherapy and all this other stuff. But at the time, it was just like, shut up and deal with it. And I've been doing that for the past 30 some odd years until today when I realized, oh, there's medications for this. Okay. Um, Now, here are the things that I get confused about, which is related conditions in children and teenagers with um with ADHD. So it's anxiety disorder, which I don't think I have. Uh, which causes your child to worry and be nervous much of the time. It may cause physical symptoms such as a rapid heartbeat, sweating, and dizziness. Yes, yes. I did have an anxiety disorder, and it was mostly in high school. It got so bad at one point in time that I actually blacked out in class. Well, nearly. I didn't black out completely. I nearly blacked out in class. Um, the anxiety was like, because the thing is that I was so anxious and nervous because I wanted to be a success for my parents, and it was I wanted to do it so badly, but I wasn't doing it for myself. I was doing it for my parents, which caused me to even the education system back then when I was in school was not attentive to my condition. There was no education system whatsoever with people with inattentive ADHD when I was going to school. None whatsoever. Even people with autism, there was still none whatsoever. It wasn't until around 2003 or 2004 when education systems for people with ADHD and autism started to show up. And by that time, I was already 2 years graduated from high school. So it was too late for me. Uh, so that's the thing. And, and this is with children and teenagers. Okay, this was a big thing in high school's anxiety disorder. I have since grown out of it. I'm more calm now, and that's a good thing because I don't want to have to end up collapsing from a heart attack because of my anxiety disorder. So that's the thing. Oppositional defiant disorder. This is defined by negative and disruptive behavior, particularly towards authority figures such as parents and teachers. Yes, this was when I was between the ages of 8 and 15. Somewhere between them, between the ages of 8 and 15. I was never defined toward law enforcement figures, but I was always defined of authority figures, like my parents. And my parents were like always wondering, like, why is my son not love me and stuff like that. Well, it's because of my ADHD. It's it's not you. It's my fucking disability. Um, and that's another thing that I found surprising is that going through this research, and my mom was never tested for this, but I could already tell. I could already tell. Um, since inattentive ADHD is genetic, uh, I I should have pulled up the website for it, but it did explain that the parent most likely to carry the disorder is the mother. And when I think back from all the times that my mother has been actively being a Karen, I had to go through this an entire past week going through all the records that I remember and her forgetting some of the major events in my life that I still remember to this day. Because my mom is like figuring like, how do you have such a good memory? I figured out that my mother actually has inattentive ADHD. She was never ever tested for it, but she shows the same symptoms for inattentive ADHD as I do. It is a little bit more extreme than me. Like, mine is a little bit more tame. And the reason why I think mine is not, it should have been as extreme as my mother, but the reason why I haven't been very explosive with my anger or some of my condition with ADHD, inattentive ADHD, was my psychological and emotionally abusive relationship of 7 years that nearly killed me. So somehow that shook my mentality well enough to the point where some of the conditions that would have been exhibited uh, are now either lessened or non existent. So I had to go through extreme psychological trauma in order to get through some of this, or in order to control some of this stuff with my inattentive ADHD. I mean, it is what it is. I never took medication, and because I was like so destroyed psychologically, it just like I outgrew it. So that's the thing. Um, Conduct disorder. This often involves a tendency towards highly antisocial behavior, such as stealing, fighting, vandalism, and harming people or animals. I've never stolen. I have been in a lot of physical fights. I mean, a lot of physical fights. Um, Vandalism? No. Vandalism? No. Harming people or animals? Fucking hell no. Um, I could never. I always loved animals. I've always been taking care of animals for like the longest time, except when I was younger. With like fish and stuff like that, and like rabbits. I had fish, I had turtles, I had rabbits. I had a dog. I was like nice to it. But I never like actively harmed any animals. I was more like along the lines of like getting into physical confrontations against people who harm animals. And I would literally take a gun and shoot people if they actually end up hurting an animal. Or machete or knife or something like that. I will actively dismember a person if they hurt an animal. For sure. So I would never harm animals. Harming people, yeah, I would do it, but it has like I trained myself for the longest time, I guess, to never harm a person unless they do something really, really stupid. And like a long time ago, it's like I would just hurt a person no matter what. Okay, but I would never hurt an animal because I realize that animals really just don't have the intelligence that a human does. But a human does have intelligence. They do know what they're doing. And in order for me to stop them, I have to physically get into confrontation with them. That's just the way my mentality thinks. Uh, and it's been a thing ever since I was a child. So that's a thing. But as far as stealing is concerned and antisocial behavior, I would have to say the antisocial behavior part is a yes. I would say things uh that are very inconsiderate to the feelings of others. I would never tiptoe or say kind things to people in a very nice way. I would just bluntly say things. It makes people cry. It makes people mad. It makes people want to hurt me and stuff like that. That's the way I talk. And yeah, and in turn it gets me into a lot of fights too. But the way I think about this is if you're not honest completely, then you should be you shouldn't even give advice to people that you care about. Just let them burn. Even your best friend, even your closest allies, just let them burn. Okay? Is that a bad thing? Yes. It is a bad thing. I'm very well aware of that. But again, it's a thing that I'm born with. Now, people would be thinking, well, that almost sounds like a natural born killer. And to some extent, it can lead to that road. It can lead to that road. But I do actually have a conscience. I do have a good heart and stuff like that. People who are natural born killers, they don't really have what you call a soul, okay? They just they have so much like mental psychological disabilities and they have trauma that causes them to get worse. So, to an extent, a person with inattentive ADHD can be considered a natural born killer, but conditions have to be met for that to happen. From what I understand. Depression. Yeah, that was a big thing in my high school. Depression was a big thing in my high school. Sleep problems. yes, I do have sleep problems. I do definitely have sleep problems. But it's not as bad as it was in as like it was during high school. High school was like the worst when it comes to sleep problems. It was the absolute worst. Um, and here's the big one: autistic spectrum disorder. This is a big one, and this is why I needed to go test for autism because I have a feeling that I have this one. This affects social interaction, communication, interest, and behavior. This right here fits into what I'm going through right now. And looking back at my life, I know that this is a big one because I would never talk to kids my age. I will always talk to adults that are like maybe 20 to 30 years older than me. And I can hold a mature conversation with them. But as far as like people my age, I could never. I could never, ever do that. Dyspraxia. A condition that affects physical coordination. If I have it, it's very minimal. Like I'm looking back at my life, and physical coordination. I guess if that means clumsiness, then yes. I am very clumsy. It's very yeah. Actually, I do have this one because I have a hard time controlling my balance and b controlling my hands when I'm doing my work. Like I find it very difficult for me uh to wrap burgers. I find it very difficult to even place them in a bag. Uh, I guess to some extent, yeah. But even throwing away items into a wastebasket that's like really super big and pretty good distance, I end up missing for sure. So I guess you could say to an extent, yes, I do have dysprasia. Epilepsy. Fuck no. That is something I'm happy to report that it is not a thing reviewing in my life. No, this never existed. Tourette syndrome, Sweet Anita, is a big one for Tourette's. Of course, I don't have it. Maybe I do. Actually, I do have Tourette's syndrome, but it's more stress related. It's more stress related that I do have tics and stuff like that. It is, yeah, it is more stress related. Like if I have too much anxiety and too much stress, I do strange noises and I do strange tics. But it only happens when I'm extremely stressed. Or I get like super overwhelmed. But it has to be an extreme like uh stress. So I do have it. That one. Learning difficulties. Yeah, learning difficulties is a thing. Mm. So in adults, it's carelessness and lack of attention to detail. I never had a lack of attention to detail before. I was always so. There were things that people, like a lot of people, miss that I seem to see. So I don't know. Carelessness, yes. Maybe if I'm doing a task, it's a lack of attention to detail. I guess if I'm doing it, if this is considered like during a task, then yes. But as far as like observational skills is concerned, it no. This doesn't affect me at all. This lack of attention to detail, no. Continually starting new tasks before finishing old ones, yes, big time. Poor organization skills. People at my job find it really annoying when I do things the way I do. And this is I know I have poor organization skills. I mean, if you take a look at the floor to my left, you could tell. Mm, okay. Inability to focus or prioritize. Yes, that is also another thing. Forgetfulness, obviously, duh. Missing out on my social security card and my tools and a whole bunch of other different things. Restlessness and edginess. Mm, that is a thing that I do. Yeah, because right now I'm kind of like on the fence because my manager had put me on vacation, but I have never really got paid for it, and it's keeping me awake at night, basically. So, and I am very upset and annoyed with her, but it's like it's not a natural annoyed and upset with somebody. It's almost like life consuming. If that makes any sense. And this goes into the point where it's like, okay, I'm very overwhelmed. This is also a thing that I'm getting fully overwhelmed, and I'm getting restless, and I'm getting really edgy. So yes, this is a thing. Difficulty keeping quiet and speaking out of turn. No, I don't have difficulty keeping quiet. I don't have difficulty keeping quiet. Um, and the reason why this doesn't apply to me is that I had forced myself to keep quiet and keep to myself and do things on my own because I know I cannot trust people to do the things that I want them to do. It just it is it's not because I don't want to speak out. It's because it's just that I know it's useless because I don't trust their abilities. Simple as that. You have shown me that you cannot be trustworthy of the quality of work that you have to offer. And this is kind of a bad thing because I have offers from people um, who want to do things for my Twitch channel to make it more presentable, but because of the untrustworthiness level that I have, I am very reluctant to allow these people to help me work on my channel. That's the honest to goodness truth. So I have learned to keep quiet, and I keep forcing myself to keep quiet about a lot of things because A, it's very difficult for me to communicate my feelings through words, extremely difficult, and because I have extreme trust issues. So that's a thing. Especially after the 7 year traumatizing relationship from this one woman. Um, Mood swings, irritability, and quick temper. This was a big one. This was one of the things that got killed off ever since I had the traumatizing relationship with my ex. That was suppressed to an extreme. If it wasn't for that, I probably would be a psychopathic maniac chopping people up. I'm just gonna keep it real. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have been in prison and in death row. Most likely. Um, Inability to deal with stress. Uh, for me, I have learned to deal with stress, but for many others, I can understand. I do understand that this is a big problem for them. But fortunately for me, I have learned to cope and manage my stress. So this doesn't really apply to me. Extreme impatience. Yes, yes. This is the thing that I do have a problem with: extreme impatience. Taking risks in activities, often with little or no regard for personal safety or the safety of others. Um, mm, it's not as bad as it was when I was younger, but I still do take risks because I feel like I'm the only one who could do things right. And as I said before, we have people at my job that could do my job, but as far as like doing like risky things, yeah, I have at my job at Walmart done some very um risky behaviors, such as going up in the rafters, where I could easily fall through the rafters of the merchandise uh, in the receiving area. You know, where all the merchandise gets unpacked from the truck, they get organized over there so that they can actually come out on the shelves of the store floor. Um, there are safety regulations and guidelines from Walmart that I completely disobeyed because I needed to get things done, and anything that gets in my way gets steamrolled completely. Um, that's the honest to goodness truth. I will literally steamroll anything, destroy anything, and take over anything that gets in my way from doing a task. So yes, that is the thing. Um, Personality disorders, conditions in which an individual differs significantly from the average person in terms of how you think, perceive, feel, and relate to others. Again, like I said, bipolar disorder, condition affecting your mood, which can swing from one extreme to another. Thankfully, I never had that. Obsessive compulsive disorder, a condition that causes obsessive thoughts and compulsive behavior. If I do have it, it's very minimal. And I've seen compulsive behavior, and I know I don't have it to that extreme. Do I have it? Yes. But to a very, very minimal degree. To a very, very minimal degree. But I've seen obsessive compulsive disorder. And I'm just like, why are you even alive? How are you still alive? I'm just like, what? If you guys don't know, there was this like I think it was a viral YouTube video that came out not too long ago about this. I think it was from Jersey. I forgot what it was from, but he was made famous because he ended up plowing through a construction barrier zone, and later on it was he drove into a parade, endangering others with his truck. That would be the more extreme case. Luckily I'm not like that. That is, I'm glad I don't have this one. Or bipolar. I do have an OCD, but it's not to that level, to where it's noticeable. It is manageable. I know how to control it, and that is that. I'm even looking back, like in my life, and this could be because of my inattentive ADHD, but I don't recall having any kind of OCD issues. If I do, it's to an extreme minimal. But yeah, no, it's bipolar disorder, mood swings, extreme. Yeah, to a certain extent, yeah. But I don't consider myself to have extreme mood swings. I do get overwhelmed, and I do get have a bad temper. Yeah, I do. But it's like I don't express it. I don't express it often. People with bipolar disorder usually like express it very frequently. Like I don't know, like more than once a month. Uh, for me, I guess I bottle things up inside a lot. To the point where it's like, okay, there's a lot of things that I unhealthily bottle up inside. Like realistically, I do. It's a thing because what's keeping me from doing that is because I wear my heart on my shoulders a lot of the time, and I care about people and I care about things to an extent. It If I didn't have the visualization that I could without weapons extensively harm a person, because of I'm gonna keep it real. I nearly killed a 300-pound person with the martial arts that I've learned. Yeah, and the feelings that I had with doing that, because he stole he stole a purse from this woman, and one guy tackled him, but I came up and nearly finished the job. And it was at that point in time when I thought to myself, I'm too dangerous. I need to simmer down. This is not something that can be willy nilly. So I just completely stopped. Like, I chose to follow the path to fear my abilities. And it's a little difficult, but I thought to myself, I did not want to end up like my uncles. I didn't. I I've seen what they're capable of, and I didn't want to end up like them. Even as a trained fighter, I knew what was capable of, and it just like all flooded in. And I was like, I can't do this. I honestly cannot do this. So I had to take drastic steps in order to control a lot of my condition. And so far, it has worked. It has worked. Um, the 7 year relationship was kind of a little bit of a a a, a what the fuck moment because I was expecting it, but at the same time, I'm kind of thankful for that 7 years because now I'm able to control what would have been uncontrollable. If that makes any sense. Um, so that's that's a thing. But yeah, I thought I just like spend like this whole entire time just like talking about all this and stuff. But just so you guys know that where I'm coming from, basically. Um, and how I managed to live even this long with something this destructive. Um, I'm not like Mteshed. He's a happy-go-lucky guy. He is very um he is very welcoming, I guess you could say. But as for somebody like me, I can be very, very destructive. But even though that I managed to contain it, I have learned that I can switch it on and switch it off. Um, because I have done some mental exercises to where I can turn this turn the more violent part of inattentive ADHD uh under certain conditions. Now, these certain conditions have to be met in an extreme term. So I'm making sure that it is very, 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 very difficult for some of these disorders to even manifest themselves. Okay, that is the one thing that I did. I managed to make sure that the trigger that triggers some of these actions are so extreme, and the condition have to be met at a precise level in order for me not to just go and be a psychological nut job. Okay, so that's exactly what I did, and it has been working for the past 10 to 15 years. Um, I did purchase the rifle, but I didn't do that until I was sure and positive that I was able to control some of my behavior. And it's working. I'm using that as a sort of, I wouldn't say a trophy, but I want to. I'm using that now as a symbol to, or incentive for me to be more mindful of my condition. So yeah, I mean, to be truthfully honest, there's going to be a point in time in the future to where I will have to give it up. I'm just going to be honest with you. There is a point in time to where in the future I will have to relinquish that rifle. But until that time comes, it is what it is. And I use it as a symbolism of overcoming a lot of things in my life. So there is a lot of symbolism in that rifle that I own. And to give it up means that I have given up everything that I've worked hard for. Um, so yeah, I mean, you could say that I'm crazy for doing that. You could say why you do. Trust me, I've had people tell me that I'm crazy for doing the things that I do. But there's a point to it all. There really is a point to it all. And you know, different people exist in life. How they handle things is unique to them. As long as they know that they don't hurt people, it's. Jeez, I don't even know what I'm saying because I'm getting a little bit too flustered right now. I gotta make sure I'm humbled. I cannot allow myself to get too excited or too arrogant or too egotistical. Because those days are so long. Oh my god, it feels like I'm gonna end up going in freaking, what is it called? Narnia. But yeah. I mean, do I wish I had a higher paying job? Yes, I do wish I had a higher paying job. But let's be real here, people. It's gonna be very difficult for that to happen. Especially since especially since like inattentive ADHD along with uh it leading to uh what is it called? Autism is a thing. So I'm just like I'm sorry, but I just got the worst of both worlds. Why? Oh my god. I really, really am the the worst of both worlds, aren't I? Jesus. what else is there to talk about? Because I know I'm kind of like in a bit of a downer, but I thought, I just thought you guys like to know about my mental state. And me discovering this years after I've been diagnosed with this. But I still need to figure out the whole autism thing because it was never really there was really nothing for people with autism back then when I was younger. So I have to get tested now whether I have it along with this. So and honestly it's a little bit disheartening knowing that I have the same freaking behavior spectrum of freaking enviosity. That is that is completely an eye opener. Okay. Uh but what about Ratsu? No. That guy clearly does not have ADHD. Uh that is uh that is a level of sociopathy that I have not seen ever in my entire life. I have read a book called Inside the Criminal Mind. It's an orange colored book, and I managed to uh, read that book throughout. They give examples of court cases of different people with different mentalities and different uh, criminalistic behavior, and a lot of it has to do with some mental conditions. Okay, that does include ADHD. That does include schizophrenia. That does include a like. Shh. I really don't know what kind of like mental disorder that Atsu has that would lead him to do this kind of thing. Um, but for sure, I know Ratsu does not have inattentive or even any level of ADHD. Um, but Enviosity does, which scares the fuck out of me. It scares the fuck out of me that I am a freaking mid picker. Yeah. But thankfully those extreme years are gone, and you will not see me with a freaking heart monitor on my screen and blaring out, "Oh my god, techno caused me great harm." No, 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 no. I'm not that extreme anymore. If you talk to me like that, like if you talk to me like that, like 20 years ago, yes, I would be the same mental state as Enviosity, but no. I'm thinking to myself, how the hell am I even a human being? But you know what? It is kind of enlightening that I found this out, although many years later, about how to handle this. Because back then, when I was pretty much diagnosed with it, I really didn't know what it entailed, or for that matter, I was even medicated. But I just had to. The fact that I had to shut up and deal with it is kind of disconcerting. If I'm going to be quite honest, it is very, very disconcerting. Do I hate myself? I have to ask this question: who is me? Like I have to think about it this way: who is me? If I had to take away my mental disabilities, who is me? That's the way I want to think about this. Because honestly, this disability does not define who I am. If you take out all the layers and take out the disability, I'm just like everybody freaking else. I am honestly just like anybody else. Uh, but unfortunately, this type of disability exacerbates a lot of very, very negative behaviors. Very negative behaviors. I mean, I can tell you right now, I'm probably the equivalent of those people who did those protests about what? Stop oil? Uh, those people, I would probably be compared. If I went unchecked, I would probably be with Greenpeace. I would probably be one of the people who vandalizes the what is it called, Stonehenge, or the Mona Lisa, or stopping traffic and nearly getting myself killed, cementing my hand on the freaking uh, on the freaking sidewalk or freeway or anything of that nature. Uh, so yeah, if it goes unchecked, yeah, you can find yourself being the same as a mint picker, a protester, or a woke individual. Yep. And trust me, I see it on the news all the time, and I'm just like, how are these people not diagnosed or take any medications for their freaking disability? I mean, did their parents even have their kid like tested or anything like that? I'm guessing not. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people with a mental disability, with potential ADHD of all spectrums. Uh,